Okay, you all good? Let's do it. Hello and welcome to the B2C Lead Generation Podcast. My name is Daniel Hopewell, and as usual, I'm here with Simon Delaney. And if you're expecting a special guest today, you're going to be disappointed. We were meant to be having one join us, but he's lost his voice, so we're going to get him back in a few weeks when hopefully he's got his voice back and he can talk to us. So instead, me and Simon are just going to have one, just the two of us today, and we're going to, as usual, or as we sometimes do, discuss some B2C lead gen stuff that we think we're interested in. And the title of today's pod, we've decided, is going to be "You Don't Need Leads, You Need Sales." And that's something we actually put on the website we're working on at the moment, Simon. We've got rid of it now, but we thought that kind of angle is quite interesting because in B2C lead gen, the podcast is about the leads and generating all the time, but ultimately sales is the end goal, right? And that's the most important thing. But sometimes it kind of gets lost a little bit. Focus so much on the leads and the sales side almost is an afterthought. But obviously that is the most important thing. So why is it in the B2C lead gen industry, we tend to focus more on the leads, not the sales?
I think that is leads get equated with success. It's like, oh, look in my pipeline, or look in our dialer, or look in the CRM, and there's loads of leads, which means we're going to get sales out of them. But like, how many sales? That's what you sort of need to track. The other thing is that I'm not sure a lot of people realize they just end up paying the same amount of money, or possibly even more, for loads of data as they do for like more expensive but higher quality, more intent data or leads. So I think that can get lost sometimes. And also targets. So I know companies that work to lead volumes as targets rather than sales as targets, because they've got like a benchmark of conversion rates from a number of leads, but that benchmark is based on like really low intent leads and just calling millions of them. So ultimately, back to the top point I said, it's just the lead buyers that are deciding what the focus is put upon, whether it's the number of leads or the conversions that are going to be made from leads. They're obviously tracking the conversions, but it's just still all these leads coming in. And if you think about it, what would you rather? Like hundreds of sales agents trying to convert data that probably doesn't want to hear from them, or few agents trying to convert a fewer number of people that do actually want to hear from them and are genuinely interested in their products or service?
It's interesting. Kind of, as we talk about it's sort of a bit like what we do in like for our stuff, like the Daybo stuff, but it's like demand gen kind of thing, right?
Well, yeah, I guess. So we've done a lot of different stuff in lead gen and demand gen with the Datable, and we're at a unique point, I suppose, where we sit across both sides of it. So our software is for B2B companies that are selling B2C primarily, but obviously to sell our software, we run demand gen and B2B lead gen. What you find is that it's not only not every lead is equal, but not every sale is equal. So from the point is that for high quality leads that come from demand gen, where you're not necessarily hunting for leads, it's sort of inbound. But I think the same applies to B2C with high quality lead gen, is that you can have, in the B2B sense, churn from sales that are made from leads that aren't particularly great, because even though you're converting potentially some of them, the interest isn't potentially there, the awareness isn't there fully before they come in, and you're relying on the sort of massive skill potentially of a salesperson, rather than this person genuinely being interested. And so this is a point with like high intent lead generation, right? Is that you actually want to be speaking to people who want to hear from you, because otherwise you're just calling a phone book, or however you contact them, emailing a phone book, whatever. You get some sales out of it, some not, and the sales that you're making, really, how good are they? And then also, if you're buying loads of low intent leads and you've got demoralized sales agents, what opportunities are they missing because of their like low confidence, because of the way they're approaching the leads that are coming in? it just changes the dynamics completely, as you're aware, when you do sort of high quality lead gen effectively versus low intent data.
It's quite interesting. I mean, as well, I think the biggest difference maybe is the fact that B2B is a lot more long term. We have this process of months from a lead comes in, or like almost before they even come in as a lead, they're aware of the company and we're kind of building up that awareness sort of side of it. But like, how does that work in B2C when it tends to be a bit more of a kind of a quick, faster turnaround for stuff?
Yeah. So this is what's interesting about B2C. So you're right, like B2B, but you're going after, but you're trying to create awareness in awareness channels, and then be in intent channels when someone's ready to like make that leap. In B2C, it depends on the vertical, but like what you see in a lot of them is that it's the brands that are creating awareness. They're great at creating awareness, right? So all the TV ads, all the radio, all the display, all the social media they push out, they create a massive awareness around a particular vertical or a product, but they're not particularly great in intent channels, and that's where lead generators are really good. And so lead generators are then sitting in the intent channels and collecting the details for brands or for lead buyers within those intent channels. But the quality of that lead generation is what counts. So the lead generators or the lead buyers still decide on the quality that's going to be coming in from the lead generators that are capturing that intent.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point really, that we do tend to do this and we talk about the leads all the time, but it's nice just to kind of refocus it back to the end goal, which is the sales. Leads, we say a lead isn't nurtured into a sale or isn't converted. It's not worth anything, right? It's like it's pointless until it becomes a sale. So it's just interesting. I mean, I suppose because we do it all as well. Like because it's like a company that works really tightly, it's fine. Like, if leads come in, we're all talking about it, and it's like marketing and sales are working quite closely together. But I guess as well, if they're quite separated, that could be a problem too. Like, if the marketing just focusing on the leads being in, but they're not actually bothered about sales, you're only measured on that aspect, their successes on. So, well, the leads are there, but sometimes they need to be tied into the sales too. You see what I mean?
Yeah, well, you find it in B2C where if marketing are buying leads, it goes into an ESP or an email platform. And if sales are buying leads, it goes into a call center generally. But the problem is they're siloed and they don't necessarily communicate with each other. Whereas if you were buying high intent leads, so every lead that doesn't convert needs to be going into a marketing funnel. So marketing needs to be picking those leads up and nurturing them through to like a sale potentially, or whatever's going to happen with them. But there can be a sort of really short-term transactional focus on lead generation in B2C. And that also feeds into the original point of, why is the focus on quantity and not quality? It's because this is literally just get a sale, get a sale, get a sale. Because if you take a longer term view of it and actually combine sales and marketing into the lead generation process and the sort of post-sales or non-sales process, you can extract a lot more value out of the leads, build a much sort of closer relationship with the leads that come in, and ultimately you're going to derive more value for the company and more value to the consumer of the lead that's coming as well.
Yeah,
I think that's like, these are the sort of things that B2B and B2C can sort of learn from each other. Well, we've not said what B2B can learn, but what B2C can learn from B2B, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like it's quite, you say we're in quite a unique position because we do have to switch our mindset quite a bit. And, like we're, like when I'm writing about content, for example, it's always from a B2C perspective, but I'm distributing the B2B way. And having to switch is quite nice sometimes because you sort of, like you say, you can pick up the things you can say, oh, that's quite interesting. We could take that and vice versa. We need to reverse that. That's a good point.
Well, that's why I think this awareness thing, I mean, it doesn't happen in every vertical, but imagine you're, a massive brand in automotive and you're pushing electric vehicles, let's say. So let's say it's Tesla, for example.
I was like, are you talking about Tesla?
Yeah, let's say it's Tesla. And you're creating massive amounts of awareness, right? Huge amounts all over the world. Every Elon Musk tweet generates, how many sales, whatever. But then in like an intent channel or an affiliate channel or something, a lead generator can pick up on that awareness that someone's been getting. I want to switch electric vehicle. I want to switch electric vehicle, but I can't buy a Tesla. It's too expensive. And they see a Nissan Leaf for like 25 grand or something. It's that awareness that the brand has been driving originally, right? And so this is a point, this is a similarity with B2B. So in B2B, you do it for yourself. You're trying to drive awareness and then be in that intent channel. And so it's interesting that like difference in B2C.
It's mad though that in a weird way, like the lead generator is almost piggybacking off that work that the brand's done for you. Do you know what I mean? Because they're separate. It's like you're not, as in we have to create the awareness and the intent together. If like using Databall as an example, but like in the B2C side of it, because they're separate, it's almost like in that Elon Musk tweet example.
But this is why it becomes
this piggyback of it.
Thing. Yeah, that's why it's like transactional, right? Because suddenly, like, if you're marketing for Tesla, and they famously don't, but let's imagine they do. They've just spent billions of pounds marketing, whatever, and then they get a lead in from a third party. It doesn't, this is the point. The marketing and sales departments are siloed and they're not sort of working together. So they, the sales are then just like, right, we've just got to make a sale. And marketing is sat over here still pumping these billions out, doing whatever they're doing somewhere else. And so this complete like transactional mindset comes to it. That's just B2C lead gen. It's what'd be interesting is like, and this is something I was talking on I put a LinkedIn post out last week or this week, I can't remember, about studies in B2C lead generation. They're on many of them. But this is the sort of thing I'd love to see is what the awareness that brands are generating in specific verticals. Imagine you could see the spend, so I don't know, in like life insurance or whatever it is, test drives, whatever. And then the amount of leads that are generated by third parties in those areas. Is there any correlation between them? Because there's got to be something, right? Like that analogy with the electric vehicles must drive like huge intent behind people that see these and want an electric vehicle.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out how you track that though, because they'll be on two separate sort of
quite difficult
metrics.
But and that's why I said there's no stats in like B2C lead gen, because that's the sort of thing in B2B. Like we can measure that, right? Well, it's difficult, but like say in Databall or we're a smaller company, but if you're IBM or something, you could probably track that sort of thing. In B2C lead gen, it's not impossible because it's all removed. Everything's like siloed. But yeah, that's sort of what I was meaning.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting, that difference between B2B and B2C actually, and I think I know we've done it we touched upon it there, but I think we should explore that more maybe with future guests and get some more people from each industry and sort of see what we can learn from each other and maybe go into more depth in that in the future pods with some guests in it. But yeah, nice one. We'll call it a day there. Cheers. Thanks for listening to the B2C Lead Generation Podcast, the show for serious lead generators. Be sure to hit subscribe to hear more from those at the very cutting edge of the lead gen world.